Now at noon, remembering the March on Washington, this is a live look at the mall in D.C. as thousands look back at Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech 50 years later. And the latest on Syria, UN inspections continue as the international community considers what to do next.
Where the news comes first, this is News Channel 2 at noon.
Good afternoon, I'm Dave Dellecese. UN chemical weapons experts have been inspecting sites where an alleged chemical weapons attack took place, while the international community discusses what action, if any, to take in Syria. The investigators' work was postponed on Tuesday due to security concerns. NBC's Richard Engel has today's top story from southern Turkey near the Syrian border.
After a 24-hour delay, UN teams resumed their inspection, visiting sites outside Damascus where U.S. officials say the Bashar al-Assad regime used chemical weapons on a massive scale. The Syrian government denies that it used any chemical weapons against anyone. Already, one UN envoy says there is preliminary evidence that chemical gases were used, but didn't attribute that use to any particular side.
What has happened, this story, this allegation that chemical weapons have been used a few kilometers from the heart of Damascus, as a matter of fact, emphasizes the importance of this crisis and the danger it represents.
The UN is also stressing that international agreements, UN accords, need to be reached before any military action is taken. But U.S. officials and their allies already seem to be making a case for a limited strike, perhaps lasting 2 or 3 days and perhaps beginning quite soon against military targets in Damascus.
For we know that the Syrian regime are the only ones who have the weapons, have used chemical weapons multiple times in the past.
The U.S. seems ready to carry out these military actions. What people here in the region are asking is, how far will they go? They're also wondering why the U.S. is telegraphing so much its military missions, implying that the United States wants to mostly do a symbolic military strike and not topple the regime of Bashar al-Assad. Richard Engel, NBC News, Antakya, Turkey.
Here at home, a head-on collision in Richfield Springs had emergency crews working overnight. One woman was rushed to the hospital with serious injuries after the jaws of life were used to pull her out of the car. The head-on collision involving two cars happened just after 1:30 this morning in the town of Richfield Springs along State Route 28. 4 people were involved in the crash. There were reports of one person with a possible broken leg. New York State Police tell us one person was in the process of being arrested. However, we do not know what the charges are. We will bring you more details as they become available. Whitesboro police have arrested 3 men from the Bronx for attempting to pass forged drug prescriptions at the Colonial Pharmacy in the Village. Brunell S. Curry, Dennis Nichols, and Curtis Clements are each charged with 2 counts of possession of a forged instrument and 1 count of possession of a controlled substance. Curry was sent to the Oneida County Jail on $15,000 cash bond. Clements and Nichols were sent to jail with no bail, and Clements is wanted in Pennsylvania on other charges. He'll be extradited at a later date. All 3 are due back in court on September 11th. Taking a trip around America now, we begin in Washington, D.C., where you are taking a live look at the Washington, D.C. Mall near the Lincoln Memorial, as tens of thousands are gathering where 50 years ago today, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his iconic I Have a Dream speech. President Obama will speak this afternoon as part of the anniversary celebration, as will former Presidents Carter and Clinton. We'll have much more on this special day coming up in our next half hour. The 288-square-mile wildfire near Yosemite National Park has become one of the largest wildfires on record in California. Firefighters are holding containment steady at 20%, but the blaze is still expected to grow. The wildfire is prompting air quality warnings more than 100 miles away. The smoky haze has triggered emergency warnings along parts of the eastern Sierra near Carson City, Nevada. School children were kept inside yesterday for the 2nd time in a week. People are going to hospitals complaining of eye and throat irritation as well. One of the Washington teens accused of beating a World War II veteran who later died of his injuries had his bail increased Tuesday from $2 million to $3 million. The judge increased the bond for 16-year-old Keenan Adams Kennard, citing concerns of public safety and concerns that Kennard is a flight risk. He is charged with first-degree murder and first-degree robbery. The other suspect in the beating, Demetrius Glenn, made his initial appearance on Monday. His bond was set at $2 million. Both teen suspects will be tried as adults. Wildlife officials in Minnesota are investigating a rare apparent wolf attack on a teenage boy over the weekend. 16-year-old Noah Graham was camping in northern Minnesota on Saturday when a wolf came up behind him and bit him on his head. Graham was left with a gaping wound after the attack. He was rushed to a hospital where he received 17 staples in his head. Wildlife officers have since shot and killed the wolf that is believed to have attacked Graham. DNA is being checked to confirm that, along with a rabies test. Graham is undergoing a series of rabies vaccination shots as a precaution. A giant snake spotted slithering around Paterson, New Jersey for several days has now finally been captured. The Burmese python was caught on Tuesday in a Burger King parking lot. A construction crew working near the fast food joint spotted the reptile Tuesday morning and called animal control. The snake is around 10 feet long and weighs about 45 pounds. A snake expert in the area plans to add the animal to his collection of reptiles for an educational program. Well, today marks the 2-year anniversary of Hurricane Irene hitting central New York. More than 5 inches of rain fell in a short period of time across southern Oneida, Herkimer, and Otsego counties. Several pockets along the Sequoia Creek had to be evacuated, along with numerous road closures. On top of that heavy rainfall, there were dozens of damaging winds that occurred in the higher elevations of Herkimer County. For more on the Irene anniversary, here is our own weather historian, Mr. Bill Kardas.
Yeah, that wasn't too long ago, only 2 years ago. Remember that well, actually. Jill and I were working that day. This is a look at Ilion, where we had quite a bit of flooding as well. This was also the year that we had Irene and Lee. Irene also noting for a lot of damage in the Adirondacks. In fact, just doing some hiking, you can still see a lot of the washouts and a lot of the damage caused by Irene in the High Peaks region. This is a look back at the radar again, the red showing the really heavy stuff that came through, again, affecting the valley quite hard, 3 to 6 inches of rain in our local area. But thankfully, that is in the past for now. We don't have any rain in the future here. Taking a live look at the radar today, looking like a pretty dry day, although do note a couple of very isolated showers just south of Syracuse. It's very warm and it is very humid, already up to 83 degrees. Just an east breeze out there providing for very little relief. It will stay warm and humid throughout the day. Temperatures in the mid 80s, but with the humidity, it will feel like upper 80s here this afternoon. Some sunshine, and it looks like the weather may be turning a little bit wet if you're making any plans for the weekend. I'll have the latest forecast coming up. Day back to you.
Thanks a lot, Bill. A one-of-a-kind store has just opened up in the city of Utica. The Hop and Goblet, a new specialty grocery store, had their grand opening today with about a dozen people showing up to the location on Dellecese Street to watch the ribbon cutting. The store offers a range of delights from local and international craft beer to items you may not find at your average grocery store, such as special cheeses and meats. It was started by a Utica father and son, and the idea behind the grocery store was to have a place where people could go to buy craft beers and bring them home.
Basically a world map, and it's got key locations you have to visit by trying certain beers from around the world. And as you fill up the card or get your passport punched, stamped, you'll get certain purchasing incentives at the store here.
Now the pair are working on building up their local inventory. We have a lot more ahead on News Channel 2 at noon, including standing room only. Residents come out in force opposing an asphalt plant in Herkimer County. Plus, in just a few days, the kids get back on the bus and head to school. We'll have some simple ways your little ones can learn good habits to prevent illness.
You're watching News Channel 2 at noon with Dave Dellecese and Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Bill Kardas. News Channel 2, where the news comes first.